About the occultist father of Rocketry and mate of Alistair Crowley, who's a friend of the show. And his name is Jack Parsons. You may have heard of him, you may not. NASA would like to forget him.
Right.
He has a crater named after him on the moon, like most people who are famous in their fields.
Yeah.
But it's on the dark side.
The occult.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, we wouldn't have probably got to the moon when we did if it wasn't for Jack Parsons. And the company he founded literally just put something on Mars. JPL.
They're still going?
He founded the Jet Propulsion Lab at NASA.
Oh, awesome.
If you want to be magical about it, you can say that JPL stands for Jack Parsons Lives.
Hey, it probably does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, it probably does.
But before we get into that, we'll very briefly thank some new returning listeners. So Barry in Canada, Frankfurt am Main in Germany, Montevideo in Uruguay, Telford in the UK.
Montevideo?
Montevideo, this is Uruguay, isn't it?
Yep. There is a place with video in the name.
They just really never gave up that VHS.
I hope there's a VHS museum in Montevideo. If there isn't, we need to move there and start one.
Oh, we'd make a killing.
Yeah.
Västerås in Sweden, Greenville in the US, Hogansburg. Hogansburg, the town founded by Hulk Hogan, I presume.
Yes.
I Am a Real American just plays constantly on the radio. Everyone's really tall with blonde Hogan sashes.
Take me there now. Everyone's blonde-haired and blue-eyed.
They're all tanned. They've all got the moustache. Even the women have got the moustache. The babies have got the moustache.
Everyone uses the N-word when they don't know they're being recorded. I love you, Hogan.
Their best friend's wife.
I love you, Hulkster. I love you forever. You are my Jesus, and you always will be.
Why did you start the Church of Hulk Hogan?
Oh, mate, I wish. Because the problem is, it's racist undertones now, isn't there? Because of what he's done.
Yes,
but
the Catholic Church has got the Crusades. It doesn't matter, mate. It was literally a racist war. You'll be fine.
Okay, we'll do it.
Brussels in Belgium, Tartus in the Syrian Arab Republic,
Holy shit.
Ashburn in the US, and Guadalajara, Spain. So thank you very much for listening. Follow us on Facebook at Cutting to the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse, YouTube and SoundCloud and all your... No, not YouTube. Spotify and... SoundCloud. Spotify and SoundCloud. I had a brain fart. Cutting to the Bull in the PTA. And YouTube is Apocalypse Bull.
There you go.
So let's talk about Jack Parsons. I got there in the end with the magic of editing. That'll seem seamless. Sex cults, black magic, Alistair Crowley, Scientology, and rockets. Yep. What more do you need in life?
I was going to say, no, I don't know anything about this guy, so I'm looking forward to hearing all of this because it's fucking fascinating.
He's led an interesting life.
What a dude.
What a character.
Yeah.
Short life as well. Very short life. 37 when he died.
Yeah. 37. Oh,
Yeah.
not quite the 27 club, but
No.
that's still no age, is it?
No.
We outlived him.
Parsons had a fantastic mind, right? He was self-taught completely, never finished college, became an expert in explosives and chemistry, developed solid rocket fuel.
Wow.
Basically, NASA wouldn't have the success they did. They have. If
I
it
don't
wasn't for
know why
Jack.
he changed his name.
Ah, well.
Is it his first name?
Yeah, Jack Parsons was one Marvel Whiteside
Marvel.
Parsons.
Marvel Whiteside. What a name.
Named after his dad. Right?
What a name.
He didn't keep Marvel for a reason we'll get to.
Okay, didn't you not a fan of the comics? They went around back then.
No,
to be fair.
No. Only in 1914.
Wow.
When Jack Parsons was born in Los Angeles. Despite, or maybe because of the shelter the money provided them, Jack's parents, Ruth and Marvel Sr., were poured into the strange new world of New Age spiritualism and occult beliefs that swept across LA at the turn of the century, and it was definitely the place to be if you're looking for a good time. Ruth discovered that Marvel Senior liked the sex workers a bit too much, and she was like, no, not having that. But his excuse was, look, give it 10 years, man. Everyone will be doing it. Don't be so uptight. Genuinely, that was like, oh, don't worry about it. Everyone will be doing it soon.
No one will get married. We'll
You
just... They'll be like McDonald's for Fanny.
Don't be a prude.
So because he'd obviously got his dad's name, she then changed his name to John, which because back then, if you're John, you're Jack.
Right, okay.
Explain that. I don't know how that works,
Me neither.
but that was the thing in the day. John, Jack,
Like William Bill
yeah,
type thing, but
kind of thing.
nonsensical.
Edward, Teddy.
Yeah. So she even went and had him rechristened.
Okay.
And he's very lucky that Ruth's parents, his mum's parents, his grandparents, were millionaires.
No, that's quite lucky.
Yeah, and they moved to Orange Grove, known as Pasadena's Millionaire's Mile. And he was an only child, and like so many only children, spent a lot of time alone. With a big imagination and the urge to experiment driving him, Jack became fascinated by the stories of Jules Verne and what he read in Pulp magazine Amazing Stories. The cover illustrations alone are apparently pretty spectacular, and the stories inside by Verne, Poe, Wells and many others were meant to, in the words of the magazine's founder Hugo Gernsback, impart knowledge without once making us aware that we are being taught. Basically, he's a sci-fi nerd.
Yeah.
He's a massive sci-fi nerd. He's got domestic servants. He starts to actually have a bit of an English accent because the best domestic servants are English.
Of course.
Apparently, that's a thing.
Alfred.
Alfred. Apparently, that's a thing. Wealthy Americans would hire British servants, plus house staff.
I bet it was a sign of affluence, wasn't it, to have British...
It
we
is,
have
but
British
the Americans didn't make very good servants. They're the ones who kind of spit in your food, give you the finger behind your back, and they're a bit surly and insubordinate.
Well, they're a new country, aren't they? They have
Yeah.
like, the history of being enslaved by the
Yeah, we're just good at doing
Whereas,
it as we're
but
told,
upper
aren't we?
class.
Well,
Yeah.
We have manners.
You remember what? To be a butler in a wealthy home was still a very fucking good job. And to be a
But you had
personal
your own
valet,
private quarters and everything, didn't
be
you?
the head butler, you're running the house.
Yeah.
So it's a well-paid position.
And
Yeah.
and
The
if
maids
But the
aren't.
scullery maid, isn't
No, but they work, if they're any good, they work their way up, don't they? That's the thing. There's money there. It's not like they're being, here's a pittance.
And if movies have taught me anything, they will be ex-servicemen who, when the time comes, will be able to use a gun in a very handy manner and dispatch home invaders.
Yes.
Rimmer, that film is shit, Tomb Raider, but I watch it every time it's on telly just to see Chris Barry with a shotgun. It's amazing. It's like,
Yeah. Actually, he doesn't do a bad job in
he's
that film.
amazing in that. I can't believe he hasn't been cast in more things in that sort of role. Like, do you know what I mean? But he's brilliant in that.
I don't see Rimmer blazing away with an assault rifle and a shotgun. I'd pay for that.
Yeah, man.
Right around this same time, Parsons had taken to doing backyard experiments with close friend and classmate Ed Foreman. Totally different backgrounds, but Foreman was like Parsons' like thug that he got on side because he
His
used to be
working
his bully,
classmate.
and now he's not.
Yeah.
Because they both love sci-fi, so Foreman kind of defends Jack.
Okay.
That's his job. But they start doing rockets in the back garden of Jack's mansion and blowing up large chunks of it. Because they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and all rockets at this point are black powder. They're just nothing more than fireworks.
And it's all like experimental shit at this point, isn't
Yeah,
it? All rocketry.
It's a brand new thing.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks, it's put down on rockets, they'll never work. Well, rockets aren't a new thing. In like 15th century China, some Chinese guy strapped 1,400 rockets to a chair, put himself on it, and was
How
like,
did that go?
not well.
Did it just blow up on the
He
ground?
turned into confetti. It blew up in the ground. They never found enough of him to bury. But his thinking was that he'd rocket up into the sky.
Bang!
Everyone stand back. Yeah, I think we're going to stand back.
Fucking
Oh,
The
dear.
Chinese had rocket arrows.
Did they?
They did. I don't know how
How did that
effective
work?
they
How the
were.
hell is a rocket arrow
You
work?
put a little rocket onto an arrow, you pull the bow back, you light the fuse, and you And
Is
it's
it-
the,
is it-
start it
the
up.
fuse kicks in later on,
Gives
Oh,
it an
okay.
extra punch.
gives the
like.
extra distance.
Wow, I just pictured that in my head. That would look cool as fuck.
Mm.
So the arrow gets to the end of its natural flight,
Yeah.
and then kicks into another gear. Oh, that's cool, man. Imagine that.
I don't know how well they
Not
worked.
very accurate. But,
No, I don't know how well they worked,
Uh,
but it was a thing.
that's awesome.
The British Army at Waterloo had a rocket troop.
Yeah.
It started the day really well by sending a single rocket over and detonating right above a French gun crew, killing everybody. And everyone went, fuck yeah, that thing's never worked before. And they went, right, we're going to fucking launch 12 now, all at once, you fucking watch.
Yeah.
And they went everywhere, and one even came back and they had to run away.
I remember them on Sharp though.
That's it.
Yeah, they're in that, aren't they?
Yes, yeah, they are. It was like this, the Prince liked them,
Yeah.
thought they were fun, so it's like, you've got to have one. Wellington, you've got to have one, I like them.
Is that what he said?
Basically, yeah, I think they're great.
Fair play. Oh man.
So they're blowing up the garden. And rocketry was mocked by the greater scientific community. And, you know, even though science is expanding and rockets just seem ridiculous to scientists. Like, oh, that's just fireworks. So,
Seems a bit short-sighted,
Yeah.
A bit, doesn't it?
considering how things turned out.
it's black powder rockets. Anyway, so if the scientists have had their way,
Yeah.
no
Suppose
one would have
there was no
stumbled
fuel.
on.
Suppose they couldn't just imagine because there was no fuel. I suppose they just couldn't imagine.
Plus
it,
the
could they?
danger of it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're seeing what these things do and how unpredictable they are. You actually going to sit on one of them and go into space? You're fucking insane.
Yeah, they're for sci-fi.
It is insane. We're gonna make one that's so big.
Yeah.
It goes to the moon.
It is insane if you think about it.
We're
It's
eggs,
just
aren't we?
lighting
really?
all this fuel at
Humans.
once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it could just do it like we've seen with the Challenger.
Yeah.
It could just literally go bang.
And it's
Yep.
good night, Vienna.
And the Columbia
Yeah,
as well later on.
Mhm.
Was it Columbia? It might have been.
that rings a bell.
The heat shield failed on the
That's
way in,
right,
didn't it?
yeah.
On the way back, or was it
One
on
of the
way
heat
up?
shields.
On the way back,
On the
yeah.
way back, yeah. Challenger went on the way out.
Yeah, that was the one with the civilian on it as
Yeah,
well.
That's
wasn't
right,
it?
yeah. The maths teacher that they were showing it in the fucking school with all the kids sat around live.
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't
Oh,
traumatise them.
God.
Although there is a theory that they survived and were taken away and they were never on it in the first place. And there's photos of them older now that have been people have been seen. I just bollocks.
Do they hang out with Elvis?
I think they might do. Elvis and the Lizard, yeah.
Do you remember when I actually got convinced that Elvis is that pastor in down south? I don't know if you can remember. There's this guy who's a pastor in the south, and
Right.
fuck it, like there's all these like people who put their faces next, and people are literally in the congregation going, "It's you," and he's like, "Oh, come on," and he carries on. They're like, "We know it's you." And like, people genuinely believe this guy's Elvis.
Alright.
I went full in on that one. I was like, it could be.
Do you
What
know
if he
that,
just got sick of that life and went, fuck it, and went to be a pastor?
You know that he was surprisingly noncy.
Well,
15-year-olds and
we don't discuss these things.
just saying.
He's still the king of rock and roll.
I'm not denying he's a king of rock and roll. He just liked young girls.
Wouldn't surprise me.
You know.
Don't they all?
Well, that's
It
what I mean.
seems to be a thing like that. You
It's
get
a common
famous.
trait, innit?
You get famous and rich, and you just have fucking young girls for some reason. But
I don't think he went lower than 15.
well,
And Jerry Lee Lewis married a 15-year-old.
well, he wasn't. No, she was 14 or
Was she-
12 or something like that.
14 or 15, I think.
Bloody hell.
Nah, fuck him.
But you could do it in his state. So he
Yeah,
hadn't broke the law in his state.
But didn't
when
he
he
get
went,
arrested because he brought her to England or something?
when he brought her to England, they had to have separate bedrooms because of the age of consent.
Fucking hell.
It might be legal, but it's still dodgy.
He's still dodgy as fuck.
Oh
How
yeah,
old was he?
I couldn't
He was
tell
in
you.
his 20s, I
Yeah.
think. Like, he was a man,
I mean, what-
and she
what
was a
you-
child. Why are you marrying a
Oh,
child,
no,
isn't it?
I mean,
It's a
come on.
child! You know her brain's not right yet. Why, like, what the fuck? I don't know, I guess they just, I don't know.
What's the difference? You go back 500 years and 50-year-old men are marrying 50-year-old kings are marrying 15, 13-year-old princesses.
It's fucking weird.
You know, it's
Can you imagine?
I'm not justifying it. It's wrong.
No,
I'm just saying, you know,
it's definitely been a thing.
it's always been a thing.
Imagine dating a teenager again. Fuck me, they're insane. It's insane enough when we were young.
They terrify me. They're horrible. They're just. Can you imagine it? It'd be a nightmare.
Oh no.
A living
Even
nightmare.
a legal one at 17, 18, 19.
A 19-year-old would be.
Every word out there, man. That's the thing, innit? You'll think, 19-year-old, oh yeah, I'd love to shag a 19-year-old girl, yeah, and that would be fun. But then afterwards, right, what do you want to do? Can we go to McDonald's?
Can we get some nuggies?
Oh my
It's the
god.
roller disco.
Oh god.
They still do it, don't they?
Groovy, funky roller disco. With their bobby socks on, and roller skating, hair in pigtails. I think they go and hang around like in uptown and like stab people and gang beat people and film it for Snapchat.
I don't want to hang about an underpass at night.
That's what they do, isn't it?
Threatening people.
Imagine you at your age stood with a 19-year-old girl under an underpass while she smokes a joint and spits at people. And like, fuck you looking at!
You know I've got a flat we can go back to, yeah?
I don't want to go inside, it's boring. Oh god, just shivering. What am I doing? Reading the graffiti, well that's spelt wrong. So basically, what we're saying is, just stick to your own age. What was Jack up to?
He's making homemade rockets, filling them with black powder he's getting from cherry bombs, and setting them off in his back garden with differing levels of success. There's a lot of explosions. They're blowing up chunks of the garden.
See, I don't mind when people are rich and they use their property and money to do things like this. This is what you should do.
He used to get $20 a day off his granddad at a time when the average wage was like $1 something an hour.
Yeah.
He's getting $20 a day. He's got like $500 in his pocket at the end of the week. You know, because what can you spend $20 a day on as a fucking kid?
Shitloads of cherry bombs,
magazines, and cherry bombs, and it's still probably not costing $20.
That's crazy.
When he was about 13, he developed an interest in the occult, and he tried to raise the devil in his bedroom. But he's
13.
13, tried to summon the devil in his bedroom.
I wonder where he learned about the occult from.
His
parents, a magazine.
He read a lot of
parents
books.
into
His parents are a bit into it, although I'd imagine not so much living with the grandparents. But he read a lot of books. He used to read Norse mythology and Greek mythology, you know, all this shit. He loved it.
Oh, fair play.
But surprisingly, he struggled in school, didn't he?
Yeah. Mainly because he was pretty smart, but they think he had dyslexia, so he's one of them. He's a Goodwill Hunting, I guess.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks he's dumb, but he's incredibly clever.
And no one could diagnose these things back then,
Yeah.
could they, really?
So his mother sent him to a military academy for boys in San Diego, possibly to toughen him up a little bit.
I couldn't think of anything worse.
Especially being a rich kid as well, who's been free. Like, military school, what the fuck?
He's not there long because he's obviously to make himself look cool and probably stop the beatings he was getting for being a little effeminate fat kid with an English accent. He showed the boys that he could blow up all the toilets at the same time, which he then did, and was immediately expelled.
Oh shit.
You're not going to fuck with that kid, are you?
No.
Boom.
So then him and Ford kept up their friendship and their dreams of rocketry and stuff. This is how nerdy they are. They gave themselves a Latin motto for their little rocket club.
Oh, come on, hit me with
Ad
it.
astra per aspera, through difficulties to the stars.
That's beautiful.
It is, it's poetic.
2 young kids came up with that. That's beautiful. Ad astra per aspera. I like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's one of the unofficial mottos of NASA or some point.
That'd be a good cheesy tattoo to have. And you'd get to tell the story. What does that mean? Oh, well, through difficulties and to the stars.
I got an anal probing by
You
name.
know.
That was the difficulty, I take it.
Yes.
I made it to the stars, baby.
We're on a stardust,
I might have had a
baby.
bleeding rectum.
But I was in space. Foreman and Parsons kept at it despite the fact that everything is fucking exploding, and then barely graduating high school, Parsons took some classes at the University of Southern California and eventually did a year at Stanford. So, you know, he's not he's not dumb. Stanford's a pretty prestigious school.
Yeah.
He was deeply preoccupied with his experiments, and college was expensive. And then the problem is, during the Great Depression, the grandparents lose all the money. They're not wealthy enough to survive the Great Depression.
Right.
So he can't go to college anymore.
Oh, fuck.
Shitter.
So because he loves chemicals and explosives, he takes a job at the Hercules Powder Company.
Oh, that sounds cool.
They were a great source for all these expensive chemicals that Foreman and Parsons needed for their experiments, so he's nicking
He
stuff.
was just helping himself.
He's making this stuff and he's taking a bit.
Sneaking
Bit
it.
for you, bit for me. Bit
I
for
got
you,
it
bit for
one
me.
piece at a time, and it didn't cost me a dime.
Also, it teaches him how to make stuff.
Yeah.
So apparently he sold a bit of nitroglycerin on the side.
Oh. I remember that from Terminator. They used it to make pipe bombs.
It's quite explosive, yeah.
Nitroglycerine. That's such a cool name, isn't it?
Yep.
It sounds good, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
After much trial and error, Parsons and Foreman eventually constructed what's known as a solid fuel rocket engine. With help from correspondence that they had with people like Robert H. Goddard, who built the world's first liquid-fueled rocket in 1926, Hermann Oberth, considered one of the founding members of rocketry and astronautics, who supported Nazi Germany's rocket program,
Well,
Konstantin Tchaikovsky, a Russian and Soviet rocket scientist. He's in contact with all of these people because it's such a small field.
yeah.
He even spends time on the phone having several long conversations with Werner von Braun.
The daddy.
He's 17, von Braun, at this point, and Parsons is like 13,
Yeah.
14, something like that, in his early teens. Obviously, Werner von Braun, not quite a Nazi, still held SS rank.
Mm.
Father of the space program. Does that outweigh it?
Well,
I mean,
He didn't personally put anyone on a train.
no, but the rocket factories were slave labour camps, so he kind of knew about it.
Yeah, and the rockets that he built killed innocent British people.
You can forgive it. That's a war thing, you know.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
But either way, he got snatched up by the Americans
With the
after the
Americans,
war.
in a way, you've got to admire their like sort of lack of morality over it, where they were just like, this guy is fucking valuable as shit, and we're having him. And then they went to space, and all the weapons that have been developed because of like.
Now we can have
it was an
rockets that
extremely
work,
good
and
asset, wasn't it?
guided missiles, and ICBMs.
Ask no
Braun.
questions, tell no lies.
Yeah, and let's face it, the Germans were massively ahead of us scientifically at the end of World War II. They'd have had the A-bomb before us if Hitler didn't decide physics was a Jewish science.
I'm not
Genuinely.
laughing at it. It's just the idiocy of that thinking, isn't it? What a dick! Poisoned by your own fucking your ideologies.
I could have had an atomic
It's
bomb.
poetic, innit?
Yeah.
I could have had an atomic bomb, but physics, that's for Jews.
And then
Not doing that.
bye.
So
Oh,
all the
silly boy.
all the best German Jewish physicists
Fucked off.
fucked off to America and Britain.
Paperclip, isn't it? Operation Paperclip.
Well, that was after the war, but yeah.
This is
So
just
this is before, of
Yeah.
course this is,
I love the fact he talked to von Braun. I like the fact that this is such a small little group of people working on this shit. That they're all in
Sharing
correspondence.
ideas,
And even though he's like, 14, they're more than happy to speak to him and share their knowledge, which is fantastic. Well, he's probably a bit older because he's working at the powder company. So
This is after uni, and he's
Yeah.
probably like,
he
young man.
he never
He's a young
got
man.
he never got a degree, and that's something that came to bite his reputation in the ass a bit. Because he's like, well, you're not as qualified as me. So yeah, but I can make this shit in my sleep.
Yeah. I've been stealing
It
this
means
stuff.
nothing though, does it? Because you know that the rich people buy their kids into his institution.
Yeah,
And they don't deserve to be there,
no,
half of them.
no.
Probably not clever enough.
They're not there on merit.
Whereas he is, and it doesn't mean anything.
No.
He didn't get a degree.
No. Parsons and Foreman saw Caltech doing interesting things with science adjacent to their own experiments. So they literally just turned up. We're like, hey, can we sit in your rocket lecture? Can we use your stuff? And they're like, "Get the fuck out." Initially. They attended a lecture on the work of Austrian rocket engineer Eugene Sanger, and they approached the lecture for help, but were redirected to a man named Frank Molina, a PhD student mathematician and mechanical engineer. So now they've got their guy in now. He's in there. They're with him.
Yeah.
They're his assistants. Or they're all running it together.
Mm.
The three of them immediately got on and began to apply for funding from Caltech together, but without mentioning their ultimate goal was to send rockets to space. Malina was a perfect fit for the duo. He was a mathematician, Foreman was the machinist, and Parsons was the explosives and chemical expert. Eventually the trio run over Malina's doctoral advisor, who let them operate within the confines of the Guggenheim Aeronautical Laboratory, or GALCIT, on the Caltech campus, despite the fact Parsons and Foreman are not students. So he's like, wow, these guys are good.
Yeah.
Okay, they're blowing a lot of stuff up, but they might be onto something here.
Yeah, and
Proves my
They're
point,
pushing
doesn't
it.
it?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter about it. You haven't got the formal qualifications.
It didn't come with money, just the facilities and some resources. So the trio had to finance all their experiments on their own, and Parsons took more shifts at the Hercules factory, despite the fact that mixing up all them chemicals is giving him severe headaches.
he was probably still stealing chemicals and selling them as well, wasn't he?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he is.
When he says putting in more shifts, yeah, it's more opportunity to steal.
This began several years of experimenting, arguing, failing, going back to the drawing board and starting with it all over again. They showed socialist values, Parsons even flirting with Marxism at the time, which comes back to bite you on the ass a little bit later.
Yeah, they don't like that, do they?
But a lot of Americans did in this time, flirted with it, had books on it, would read it.
Of course, because it makes fucking sense, that's why.
It never works out, Mike.
That's the issue, it never works
Well,
out.
I'm on about the
Those
critique
two-
of. I'm on about the critique of capitalism.
Dictatorship. I read the Communist Manifesto when I was about 17, and I was all like, yeah, man. I was like, Neil. From the, no, not Neil. Who am I thinking of? No, Citizen... who is
Citizen
it?
Smith.
Citizen Smith, that's it.
Power to the people.
That's
Yeah,
it.
and his little beret underneath.
Power to the people. It didn't last long.
The trouble is, everything that's tried it has got rid of democracy. You got to keep democracy. You got to be able to be voted out if you're failing. Has to be the people's choice. You can't just be forced upon people, can it?
Well, they were saying on Joe Rogan for a few weeks back, I was listening to it, and I'll try and get this right now. They were saying that basically China has like worked out how to be like a communist dictatorship. Like,
Yeah, that's what the
It
Soviet Union was as
basically-
well.
it's communism, but it's not,
Well,
is it? It's
China's a mixed market now, anyway. It's
They're-
half capitalism, half communism.
Yeah.
Communist dictator government.
Capitalist communism.
Capitalist
that was
economy.
Yeah.
That was it. It's communism and capitalism mixed.
Yeah.
That was it. And that's basically what they were saying. They think America will want to eventually get.
Well,
That's the way forward,
look at
basically.
the ultimate expression of capitalism is McDonald's is
Yeah.
across the road from Chairman Mao's tomb. You know, you can go and see Chairman Mao lying in state, and then go and get a Big Mac. There's no greater
What a
contrast.
day out.
You know what? Take the family.
I don't know if I'd want a Chinese Big Mac though. What the fuck's gonna be in that, man? Where's that beef coming from? Is that beef grown like in a fucking lab with bright lights, neon lights on?
The same one that may or may not have produced COVID. Oh shit, I can't say that. May or may not have produced a certain disease.
It did. We know this.
Allegedly.
It did. We all know this. They've said it. That's like fact now, isn't it? That it's from Wuhan.
Who the fuck knows?
I don't know.
I still maintain it was leaked by someone just being a lazy prick.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, not some grand conspiracy.
Oh no, it was
They
just
were
someone who-
making it in that lab and some dickhead didn't wash down properly or close something. Just some lax in human concentration, and look what it did.
He's
and
working
they loved it.
16-hour shifts.
Yeah.
He's tired.
But then, you know, the governments went, God, like, oh, God, this is ace. We can boss everyone around.
Yeah, we can roll back everybody's rights.
God, this
Yeah.
is amazing. It'd be awful if it happened again.
Yeah.
Sorry. Back to Jack.
Yeah, back to Jack. Eventually Parsons' social life flourished even when his rocketry experiments failed again and again. He met Helen Northup at a local church dance, fell head over heels and proposed in July 1934.
See? Local church dance.
Well, she gets into the OTO stuff too. She's no church girl.
She's not that churchy.
She's not that churchy.
Well, you know they're the dirtiest, aren't they?
That's what I'm saying. And she wanted the devil.
He was 20, she was a few years old. They were married in April 1935. And Parsons took a new, better paying job at the Halifax Powder Company so he can get more
stealing.
stuff. But the extra money didn't go to Helen or the household. It went right into Parsons' experiments.
Yeah.
His endless need to achieve more, faster, better. He spent most of their money funding the rocket group, and when that wasn't enough, he made nitroglycerine in their home on the front porch. He had like a little lab on the front porch. He just making explosives at home.
Fuck, you walking the dog past. Morning, Jack. Alright. She's got like
What are you doing?
goggles on,
Making
like
nitroglycerine?
bubbling chemicals everywhere. Alright. Yeah. Just a normal Sunday morning on the porch. What the fuck?
He even pawned her engagement ring and loaned money off her family.
Well,
Even cash-strapped, the Gaussic group grew to encompass more students, and they tested their first liquid-fueled motor near the Devil's Gate Dam in the Iroko Seco on Halloween
course they
1936.
did.
yes.
Halloween, the Devil's Gate down.
The attempt failed spectacularly, with the oxygen line igniting and spewing fire at the group. They kept testing though, and the remainder of the year, and in January 1937 they had a successful test. And Molina's PhD advisor, who had given them some standing through Caltech, said they could still keep testing on campus.
What was a successful test?
It got up in the air.
Oh, right,
No one died.
But then blowing up.
No one was like bathed in flames.
Yeah, no one died. It went up in the air. Success! What a success! This group, which included Caltech mathematician Hui Huzan, a Chinese guy,
What?
and Caltech laboratory assistant named Wed Arnold, who was also the group's photographer, became known as the Suicide Squad. Because, mate, they are doing experiments and they're getting, like, blown through windows. Every time something explodes on campus, all the students rush to the window to see if one of them had finally been killed.
That's such a cool name, though, isn't it?
He's like 21, 22, and he's like, I'm in the Suicide
The
Squad,
Suicide
make
Squad,
fucking
baby.
rockets.
Fucking hell.
Bang!
And everyone rushing, windows are coming in, what the fuck was that? Everyone's rushing to see someone's dead. Occasionally
It
someone
was
might
a
be on
success.
fire.
He comes up, he's black.
That's
he's
exactly it.
smoking.
His hair's
He
fucking
was
up.
a success.
His hair's fucking up. He's got white marks where his goggles were. His face is black. Him and his
He's
mate.
standing in a pool of liquid fire.
Yeah!
No one died. Again!
Him and his mates used to play
He
a game.
spent all his money to do it as well.
But they were crazy.
Yeah.
Him and his mate used to play a game where, like, I don't know what it's called, shoot the gun, where they'd stand across from each other, like 50 feet away, get pistols, and so you could shoot closest to each other.
Fucking hell, this guy's insane, man.
And he's not even on the drugs at this point.
Bloody hell.
I don't want to play that game.
No.
I don't want to
It's got to be dark all of a sudden, isn't it?
I don't trust you. What are you doing? I was
Well,
really
stand-
close.
Stand 50 feet away. I'll see if I can hit you with this gun.
No, he's not trying to hit him, he's trying to shoot as close to him as
Yeah,
possible.
but like, are you going to trust him not to fuck
No,
it
no,
up?
yeah.
Like, are you putting it at the floor on my leg? Because it's hard to tell from there. Oh man, no.
I just
not
want to
for
nick the earlobe.
me. Knock your hat off.
Yeah.
No, not for me.
One notable test occurred in August 1937 when they ruined the lawn in front of the university's Gates chemistry lab by accidentally siphoning too much nitrogen tetroxide, a highly corrosive liquid, turning the lawn brown and endangering many on campus. Another truly epic failure happened when their rocket apparatus inside one of the buildings leaked a toxic cloud of nitrogen tetroxide and alcohol that rusted scientific equipment throughout the building, and then to spend many days polishing off the rust. Explosions became par for the course for the group until they had to move their operations to the upper Ario, which is obviously now where the Jet Propulsion Laboratory now stands, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, it wasn't an actual rocket engine that caught the attention, but Parsons' expertise. He was called in as an explosives expert in the trial of Captain Earl Canetti, the head of police intelligence in LA. It was a den of corruption in LA at the time, even then.
No.
And Canetti stood trial for conspiring to set a car bomb meant to kill a private investigator, Harry Raymond, a former LAPD detective who was fired after whistleblowing on police corruption. That'd be a great fucking movie for a start.
Yeah, man.
Parsons had no formal education in chemistry, just his own often explosive experience and experiments, but he was so charming and thorough on the stand, even the press and the public eye couldn't ignore him. He's a handsome dude.
Yeah.
You know, he's charismatic, he knows what he's on about. He's like, he brings a bomb to the court and he's like, yeah, this is how he made it. Here's a bomb. Obviously, it did help that, you know, when they found out that this LAPD police intelligence officer had a fuck ton of chemicals for making explosives in his garage.
Yeah.
And they said to Parsons, can you make a bomb out of that? And he's like, yeah, give me a few days. Comes back with a bomb and says, yeah, there you go.
Oh my god.
So it's like guilty as fucking charged, isn't it? So he's got some celebrity, he's doing all this fucking stuff with solid fuel rockets, he's pioneering it. He gets the idea for the chemical composition by watching people put asphalt on a roof.
Right.
He's sitting there, he's been smoking a doobie, I like to think, in a hammock, watching them retar the roof.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's inspired by, you ever heard of Greek fire?
No.
There's ancient flamethrower. This stuff wouldn't go out unless you put it out with vinegar, sand, or ammonia.
Is it like wildfire from Game of Thrones?
Exactly the same. Burns on water.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's highly effective. And he's like, if I mix some of that shit into some more shit,
Yeah.
I could make a solid fuel. And he does this like Gauss 53, it's called. So I'm presuming that there's 52 explosions before he got it right.
Right. Wow.
But he also starts getting into Thelema. The OTO. He gets introduced. Him and Helen get introduced to the Ordo Templar Orientis, the Agape Lodge specifically, which Aleister Crowley himself founded
Well,
while he was in America briefly.
in between bummings.
I think it all came part of the course, to be honest.
He briefly stopped bumming to open this place, and then he went right back to bumming and eating cum and just
The
being
greater the
generally
degradation, the greater the power.
shit and piss and cum. Ugh.
You know, he only ate shit once, and he said it was a bad idea.
I could have told him that.
He was like, nope, not doing that again. That was a bad idea. His throat all burned, yeah.
Oh,
But he did eat a plate of shit, yes.
Oh god, a plate of shit.
Fucking hell.
A plate.
But the greater the degradation, the greater the power.
That's what he thought. He
Yeah.
really believed it, didn't he? God love him.
You've got to...
What an idiot.
Oh Lord.
Now, Thelema is an interesting belief system.
Mm-hmm.
This primary statement of primary importance in Thelema, the law of Thelema, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, is supplemented by a second follow-up statement, love is the law, love under will.
Mm-hmm.
These two statements are genuinely to be better appreciated or better understood by considering the third statement, every man and woman is a star.
Well,
We are all stardust,
we're all stardust, baby.
but I do think it's dangerous. Do what they wilt.
They did roll it back to within reason.
Do what thou wilt. I kind of do most of the time. Well, no, I don't do it because I've got no free will.
No free will.
You have got
We
free will.
established this.
No, we didn't establish that.
I go to work, you know.
But how can that be the whole of the law? Do what they wilt. I mean, that means you can murder, rape.
It's quite open,
No,
isn't it?
it is within reason. And remember that love, the second law, which love is the law, love under will, means you shouldn't be doing nasty things with your will.
Mm. So why did he do so much bumming?
Because that's sex magic.
Right.
And it's not all about the bumming. You can just have regular sex.
He did a lot of bumming though.
Again, the degradation in more power.
Now, give me the golden rule. That's all you need.
What's the golden rule?
Do unto others as you'd have done unto yourself.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
I thought the
Well, I'm
golden
not
rule
going to
was.
go around giving everyone hand jobs.
I thought the golden rule was don't be a dick.
Pretty much, that's what it boils down to.
I like it. I must admit, it ties in with my ideas of free will and expression.
Well, I believe train,
it's
say your
extremely
prayers, eat your
dangerous
vitamins.
myself, but
So do what thou wilt with the whole of the law means that adherents of Thelemite should seek out and follow their true path, i.e. find or determine their true will.
so in this Carl Panzram,
That was his true will.
yeah, so it's fine.
But he shouldn't be doing that, because love is the law.
No, that's the whole of the law.
No, love is the law.
Just says
Well.
the whole of the law.
And you get these 3 statements.
Find or determine their true will, whatever your true will is.
Go for it.
But also you should be acting with love.
But he could argue he was.
But he thought he was acting with love, but Carl Panzram was a very fucked up individual.
See what I mean? It's dangerous.
Yeah, but he wasn't a Thelemite, so it's alright. Every man and woman is a star is a reference to the body of light said by Plato to be comprised of the same substance as the stars,
Decomposed.
composed of the same substance as the stars, and that the persons doing their wills are thereby like stars in the universe, occupying a time and position in space, yet distinctly individual and having an independent nature largely without undue conflict and other stars.
Oh, I like that one. That's cool.
Love is the law, love under will. The nature of the law of Thelema is love. But love itself is subsidiary to finding and manifesting one's authentic purpose or
Right, so
mission.
isn't that important then?
It's a subsidiary.
It's still there. It's one of the 3 laws. And that comes to us from Mr. Crowley, a friend of the show.
Mr. Crowley. Legend.
He's a fascinating character.
He certainly is.
And he's the last person
Mad freak.
you can call a magician,
Mm.
a wizard even, since Merlin.
But it's mad. It's
But does
weird,
it-
isn't it? Because isn't it all bollocks? I
know. Did it
listened
work?
to like hours of podcasts about him, hours and hours of it, and like I was like, at the end of it, I was just thinking, yeah, but he went all these rituals and all this, but did he actually achieve anything?
I don't think he
know.
did.
Well, there's a few claims that he's made. He
'Cause he
claims to
tried
have caused World War
influencing
One
the war,
by
didn't he, and,
not ejaculating on
I
time.
mean, come on, how fucking egotistical, arrogant of yourself. Because you didn't come on that day, there's a fucking world war.
No, he didn't come on time at
Oh,
a crucial
sorry.
point during the ritual. Actually, no, it wasn't him. It was his assistant. He had a little, I suppose you'd call him a familiar, called Victor Neuberg.
Was he a fuck?
What?
Was he made
Isn't
chance?
that Neuberg? Isn't that O.J. Simpson?
No,
in
that's Neuberg. Victor Neuberg. This was Victor Neuberg. Nordberg is
Neuberg?
No, Victor Neuberg. And actually, Crowley was probably his height with Neuberg.
Yeah.
And he allowed him to bottom him, even though he was the student and Crowley was the master. He allowed Neuberg to top him. Sorry, at the Paris ritual. What they'd done the ritual for was actually turned out successful. Money, drugs, really. So Crowley got some money out of it. His coffers had swelled as a result, and they were able to score some drugs.
Well, good on him.
So he declared it a success.
It's a little too depraved for my liking, really.
You fucking prude.
I'd rather just get a job and buy some drugs.
Well, the thing is, Crowley's dad actually basically started the first Weatherspoons. Even though he's a really religious family, his dad was incredibly religious. The Quakers, they were Quakers, and they couldn't drink alcohol, but they could brew it. So they
Right.
became fantastic brewers, and Crowley's dad started a chain of Crowley ale houses up and down the country, where a working Englishman could go and get like a sandwich and a pint for a reasonable price. So it's the first Weatherspoons.
Yeah.
I don't know what the American equivalent of Weatherspoons is.
I don't know, I've never been there.
No.
Do you know why Weatherspoons is called Weatherspoons? This is a good fact. I like this. The guy, I know he's a bit of a dick, but the guy who started the company Weatherspoons, he had a teacher at school called Mr. Weatherspoon who told him, "You'll never amount to fuck up."
Ah.
So when he opened his first
I
book,
love that.
he called it, yeah, I mean, he opened his
Yeah.
first one, he called it Weatherspoons as a fuck you. And then, yeah, so there you go.
For the
I like
American listeners, any foreign listeners, a Weatherspoons here is like a cheap bargain basement pub.
Yeah, just cheap
But-
food and beer deals.
And it gets a bad rep, but they're actually really important to communities because
Yeah.
like old people go there. You can like buy one coffee,
Sitting
keep
there all day in the warm.
keep refilling it. Yeah, they get to go and sit in there and chat all day. Food's cheap. It's not great, but it's
It's not too
Me
bad.
personally, I fucking adore Weatherspoons.
Yeah, I love it.
I will never talk bad on a Weatherspoons. I love them.
The beautiful thing, no matter where you are in the country,
You'll find
you'll
one.
find one, and it'll never be shit.
Yeah.
The people might be wankers, but the food will always be exactly the same on
And
the same fucking
And
plate.
it'll look different, but the same.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like whichever, if you find a new one you've not been in before, as soon as you walk in, yeah, it's different, but the same.
Oh.
If you know what I mean, it'll be laid out differently, but the decor and that it'll all be.
It depends, because the one in Llandudno is in an old theatre,
Oh, I've been in that one.
and
Yeah.
they've kept the boxes
It's mad,
up
isn't it?
above.
Yeah,
and
there's,
I've been there.
you
Yeah.
sit in you sit where the crowd, the
Yeah,
audience
yeah.
would sit, don't you?
yeah, and the
Yeah.
balconies are still
Yeah.
there, aren't they?
There's a few others like that. So they've taken on some old buildings as well and
That's another good
preserved
thing
them
that
at
he did.
least in a way.
Because he gets a bad rep 'cause he's a bit of a mad conservative in here. I think.
Yeah.
But that's another good thing. He does buy these old buildings that are going to shit. You know?
Yep.
I love the Weatherspoons. Anyway, Mr. Crowley.
Now, Crowley claimed that the Book of the Law was written in Egypt during his honeymoon with his new wife in April of 1904, dictated to him by his guardian angel Iowas. Or Iowas, so everyone names it Iowas, we'll go with that.
He was like he's a
He was his guardian angel. He did a ritual in the Queen's Pyramid,
Mm.
Queen's Chamber of the Great Pyramid, with his wife, and a spiritual golden light filled it. He was convinced, and the voice, and that was it. He was like, went back to the room. His wife went, "He's going to come to you tomorrow at 12. Your guardian angel."
right. Did he?
And yes, he dictated the Book of the Law to Crowley, who wrote all this down allegedly.
Did he? Oh,
I'm going to say allegedly, but yeah, he was dictated to him by an
What's the
interdimensional
difference between
being.
him and the Mormons and the Book of the Mormon?
This is a lot cooler.
There is that.
There is that, yeah, but
Yeah.
It's the
I
same
mean,
thing.
It is the same thing, isn't it? Really?
I found this.
you wrote that? No,
No.
my guardian angel
Dictated it to me. He made contact with an interdimensional being. He might have made contact with aliens.
Are
Who
you
can
sure you
say?
didn't just write that? I'd have said no.
I don't think Crowley was that good a writer to
Took
do
his
it.
tits off when he wrote it.
Were you high? No. Maybe. A little bit.
I don't think he was on the heroin at that point. No, he wasn't on the heroin at that point. Ether, probably, yes. Marijuana, peyote, cocaine,
Oh, all the good stuff.
booze, definitely drunk.
Yes.
Still, it's fucking metal.
Hmm? There is that.
Crowley's influence spread in surprising ways during his life, and it was this influence that snared Jack Parsons in its web. He and his wife, Helen, attended a church of Thelemite in Hollywood in January 1939 and were swept up into it immediately. The church appealed to their modern, one might say libertine ways. The church welcomed actors, gay people and many others, and Parsons would sporadically attend Thelemite events and began to read Crowley's works. And this is where his brilliant mind became susceptible to his own superstitions and occult leanings. The more Parsons read Crowley's writings, the more he began to believe that Thelema magic was a force that could be explained through quantum physics. That science and magic were one and the same. In other words, Parsons does these rituals and then records any results. He goes about it quite scientifically. in
Mate,
that
you just
respect.
quoted Thor.
Well, Thor's quoting Jack Parsons.
I come from a universe where science and magic are one and the same. That's literally what he says, I think.
Any
That's
advanced
innovation.
civilizations, technologies can be magic because we hear magic to us, wouldn't
Think
it?
about it.
Yeah, and even
I think about this sometimes. The fact that I could just think of a song, type it in my phone, and it comes from space, right? Through the air, with no connection to my phone, and I'm listening
you
to
go
it.
back 100 years, that'd be magic.
It's magic now. My point is, it is. We so take it for
I
granted.
know, yeah.
It's fucking magic. Like, where am I? Fucking hell, 20 years ago it was.
You had to
like,
get the Atlas out 20 years ago.
it was. There's a good meme I saw going around. There's a dude stood there with like all this 80s tech, like video camera, VHS tape, editing station, all this stuff, piles of it, and someone was like, "Oh, that's in your pocket now." Literally.
Yeah.
And in the past, do you remember the old Britannia booksellers? Used to come
Knock on
round.
your door.
Yeah.
That's the only way you
Buy
knew shit.
buy some encyclopedias, Governor.
You had to read books to know shit.
Used to have a row of about 20 books, A to Z, and everything.
My parents had a massive. They had a wildlife one, And then collected like 8. I used to love it when I was little, actually, all the pictures in there. But that was my internet.
That was
Or
the
you go to the library. That was the only way to get
I used to
information.
genuinely like the library.
Yeah.
It was a treat. They used to drop me off there when they go shopping, and I'd just sit in there and read Asterix.
Oh, I used to love Asterix books.
Fucking and Tintin. I used to love them comics
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
They were my first comics. Well, no, Beano was my first comics. But then
Beano and the Dandy,
yeah, and then Asterix and Tintin. Good times. So yeah, back to the culty, sexy bummers.
Well, I was going to say, even Einstein says that quantum physics is spooky action at distance.
There you go.
So, you know, maybe the science and magic thing
Spooky.
isn't
Well,
so ridiculous.
No, there's shit we don't understand.
There's every chance Einstein might have made a few visits to this because Einstein was notoriously horny. There's a possibility. Scientists tend to be horny. Stephen Hawking was horny.
Oh, God.
Ben Franklin was horny. Some of the greatest scientists of all time have been horny.
That's one sex tape I don't know.
No, Jack and Helen were eventually initiated into the Agape Lodge, the renamed Church of Thelema, in February 1941. They were in deep, especially Parsons. He and Crowley began to write to each other and explore deeper meanings in Thelemic beliefs.
He was deep in Crowley, you mean?
He wasn't deep, but they never met. Parsons went as far to send Crowley money, which is what all Crowley's really interested in.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I've got this fucking young, dashing dude. He's got a gift for it. He said, like, if I had him for 6 months or even 3 months, I could fucking teach him like everything I know. And bum him probably, or be bummed by him, possibly be bummed by him, maybe bum him. I don't know.
On top of the corpse of a goat. They were depraved.
When we get round to going back over Crowley, when we get to the Abbey of Thelema in Sicily episode, part of that,
Like people, like kids die and like from neglect.
people did
and
die.
stuff.
Yeah.
They were depraved and squalid.
Yeah. Interesting though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, basically Crowley wants money, and he's really happy that the OTO and this lodge he actually founded while he was in America was like actually flourishing, and he's like, this guy's fucking brilliant. Send me some money, Jack. If you're wondering, it's 1941. Why Jack Parsons isn't in the army or anything? Obviously, because he's now got a cushy little government sponsor. Because he's got this. He changes the name of rockets. He calls them jets because he's got this jet fuel, jet propulsion, and he invents JATO, jet assisted takeoff, which means that heavier planes have some rockets under them. They can be ignited, pushes them to a higher speed. They can take off a shorter runway. Bombers can launch off aircraft carriers.
Nice.
He invents that.
Right.
Cool.
So the US government is like, yeah, here's some money. And they're having this basically just fucking bohemian time. They buy a fucking mansion. He calls,
Does he blow it up?
No. Parsons basically donates most of the fucking money. He keeps like $10 a week for himself.
Bloody hell.
Right. Okay.
They were in deep. So they've written to him and the Crowley. And actually, Jack's addressing Crowley as your son Crowley, your son Jack, and he's like your loving father Alistair and all that. They're like pally, proper pally.
Suck me off, Daddy.
None of this is really shocking if you think about how esoteric and magical rocket science and jet propulsion, as it eventually became known, must have seemed to those like Parsons and everybody else. So the fuck's this is revolutionary.
We can go anywhere.
So he's got the mansion. They're all having a swinging time, and his wife Helen goes away for a little vacation with her mum. And when she comes back, Jack's been spurred on by the lodge's sexually permissive rules and started dating Helen's 17-year-old sister. She's a smidge under 18.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
She's called Sarah. And when Helen comes back, Sarah goes like, hey, she's wearing one of Sarah's dresses. She's like, I'm Jack's wife now. Jack admitted he found Sarah more sexually appealing over his current wife.
Well.
And it's that Thelemic bit of danger as well. It's like there's a tinge of incest in a way. It's like a half sister, and he's like married to her, and it's almost like that bit of darkness, that bit of left hand path magic going on.
He's a dirty boy, isn't he?
He wants to fuck.
You dirty get.
He wants.
And he's exchanged her in for a younger model.
But in the rules of Thelema, jealousy, if you're living that lifestyle, you're not allowed to be jealous. Jealousy is a thing you shouldn't have. So she kind of takes it.
Oh dear.
But she ends up going with another guy, and they get pregnant and have a kid. And she stays. She actually stays in the OTO until she him stay in the OTO until they're dead. They act as like, what's the phrase? Specialists on film sets.
Yeah.
You know, like the Warrens did in the Conjuring movies. You know, that kind of thing. Advisors, that's the word I'm looking for. Wilfred Talbot Smith. Apparently when his daughter, like, asked him in his old age and Helen's dead and he's got this library of occult books and she says, what about all these? What are these? And he's like, it's all real. Don't ever touch it.
The devil. But is it real, Jack? Or is it the same as the Bible?
And they stay friends. The two couples remain friends.
Well, one big happy family.
So they're all living in the lodge. It's great. It's just they're sharing their beliefs. They're slaughtering their own livestock for meat and blood rituals. Oh, God. Parsons decorated he and Sarah's room with a collection of swords and daggers, which shows you can still pull, be a nerd, and have a collection of knives.
No way am I sleeping in a room with someone who has a collection of knives.
There's kids in that house as well.
There were.
That's a bit.
Yeah. Oh, go and sacrifice a goat for us, will you, Charlie? Here's one of me knives. Get it down off the wall.
The problem is with...
They're lucky they didn't sacrifice the kids.
The problem with living in a Thelemic lodge like that is it has to be your will to do something. So, like, Bob, it's your, you know, you got to maintain the grounds, mate. It's not in my will today.
Yeah.
It's not in my will today. Maybe tomorrow. Oh, you're going to be the cook. It's not in my will. Don't want to do that. So this is the issue you have when you live in a Thelemic lodge.
Yeah. Well.
So the problem is with doing your Thelemic way of lifestyle is that you're often up till 3 or 4 in the morning, drinking your absinthe, fucking, listening to music, dancing,
blood rituals,
maybe doing the odd blood ritual, sacrificing a goat,
shagging an
fucking
underage girl.
So yeah,
Parsons just fucked the Parsons' nose.
Oh. And you know, he's doing a lot of fucking. He is fucking Sarah more than anybody. I presume they're all swinging though.
Yeah.
And you know, he starts rushing things a little bit at work. So like, there's a few more explosions because he's like, oh fuck it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 2, 1, go for this shit. And things start exploding again. But he does start to write poetry, as is his will.
Well.
Oh, they raped a boy as well.
Allegedly.
God.
That's never been proved.
No smoke without fire, Ben.
You know, neighbours didn't like him basically because you've got this.
You wouldn't, would you?
You've got this party house on your neighbourhood, and they're on. This is a mansion. They're on Millionaire's Mile.
Neighbours complained of seeing naked pregnant women jumping through fire. What the fuck?
The Parsons plays it off as the lodge being an organisation dedicated to religious and philosophical speculation, and eventually both the Pasadena police and the FBI closed their investigations.
Well, it's not very, like, philosophical, is it? Oh, pregnant lady, see what happens if you jump through the fire?
I think they've only got to hop over a bit of fire.
It burnt my feet. Noted. Wow, I've really got to the depths of my philosophical quest.
It's blessing the child. The fire blessing the child, guys.
Oh right, okay.
It
can't be good for the.
That's as old as time.
I'm not a doctor, but I don't think pregnant ladies should be jumping over fires. They should be having a nice sit down, shouldn't they?
Depends how pregnant they are.
I was going to say she's like massively pregnant. Just have a sit down, get away from the fire.
They never used to shave in them days. It's all flammable.
Fire bush.
You don't want to burn bush.
It's a burning bush.
I wonder if that is right. So jeez, he was high as fuck. Some bird jumped over a fire and a pubes lit up.
That's how I do jet rockets.
And he wrote the Bible. God love him.
Parsons, however, was on the downside. He was habitually using cocaine, amphetamines, peyote, mescaline, and opiates. He slept with multiple. He slept with multiple women and got at least one, the fiancée of another lodge member, pregnant, and she went on to have an abortion.
Oh dear.
But he did try to write poetry. And we're going to end on the poem. We're going to make this a two-parter. We're going to end on this. This might be my favourite ever poem ever written.
You know, I was just surprised at how good. It's really good. Right, should we go for
Gaz,
it?
you're gonna, if you care to perform it for us,
I will
please.
give it my best rendition. Right, so this has it got a name?
No, I don't think it has.
No. And this was by Mr. Jack Parsons. I hite Don Quixote, I live on peyote, marijuana, morphine and cocaine. I never knew sadness, but only a madness that burns at the heart and the brain. I see each child woman ecstatic, inhuman, angelic, demonic, divine. Each wagon a dragon, each beer mug a flagon that brims with ambrosial wine. I went to the city and I found it a pity the devil was playing at hell. And 10 million mortals had entered hell's portals and they thought they were all doing well. I said, see dear people, on every church steeple, an imp of the devil at play. See ghouls cut their capers in daily newspapers and fiends in police courts hold sway. The mountains are palaces, women are chalices, meant to be supped and not sold. The desert a banquet hall set for a festival, ripe for the free and the bold. The wind and the sky are ours, heaven and all its stars waken, and do what you will. Break with this demon-spawned, hell-inspired nightmare, bond magic lies over the hill. They said I was crazy, ambiguous, lazy, disgusting, fantastic, obscene. So I hide for my sagebrush and cactus and corn mush to see if the air was still clean. Oh, I hide Don Quixote, I live on peyote, marijuana, morphine and cocaine. And may I be twice damned for a bank clerk or store hand if I visit the city again.
I love it.
It's amazing.
Well read.
I'm just thinking of that song by what's Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah, well, you can see where they got the inspiration from, can't you?
Somebody must have, I bet someone's turned that into a song.
I like it because he said I went to the city and everyone's living this fucking hellish life. There's 10 million people here doing shit jobs, and I'm out here
What, listen to
doing drugs and
that
fucking...
line. Break with this demon-spawned, hell-inspired nightmare.
There you go. This is what the city is. It's a
I
damn...
did. She was called my ex.
I don't think he likes the city.
No, I would agree with that. But it's true. You got the city, you move there, and you're doing a shitty job in a hell-inspired nightmare. He's out there. He's like, oh, I fucking live on peyote, marijuana, morphine, and cocaine.
Yeah, and I'm just shagging everything that moves.
Shagging other bits. I'm living this fucking wonderful. You lot
In a
fucking
mansion.
crazy. You could be doing this if you subscribe to the principles of
I
Thelemite.
know, I know.
Yeah, and if we invented a technology that was really successful and got us a mansion, that's the important bit, because you can't really get away with this in a fucking bedsit, can
No,
you?
the problem is with magic is
Yeah.
you've got to be very wealthy to
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
That's because you've got to live it. You've
Yeah.
got to live it. And the Abramelin ritual, which they go on to try and do, which Crowley could never do because he wasn't disciplined enough, requires like no drugs, abstinence, fasting, like for 6 to 7 weeks, maybe actually months, and doing rituals. You've got to be incredibly disciplined,
What
and
does
you
it
can't do that if
achieve?
you're off your tits on peyote, marijuana, morphine, and cocaine and booze. And Crowley could never stay sober enough long to do it either. So,
Well,
yeah, Crowley. He sent that to Crowley. Crowley didn't like it.
didn't like the poem?
No, probably because Crowley was a terrible poet, though he thought he was the world's greatest
Yeah, he
poet.
did, didn't he?
But he read it and thought, fuck, that's actually quite
Yeah,
good.
he's probably jealous.
Also, he was worried that because it's the Aleister Crowley Lodge that he founded, that he's like, oh, it's going to bring back all the allegations of drug use against me that were drug drink. Even though he's a heroin addict at this point. Right? He's still like, oh, it'll be the same thing. I'll get dragged through the mud in the papers. Crowley, the drug addict, inspires this. He's like his influence over this young scientist.
Well, the first bit of his life seems to be all about science, but he seems to have sort of let go of the science a bit now, and like he's more focused on like bumming.
Not all bumming. There's a lot of straight fucking going on.
Oh yeah, but you know, I'm just
To be
saying.
fair, homosexuality wasn't actually mentioned much in stuff I've read and listened to.
Okay.
It was mainly, you know, dudes fucking women. But there's gay people there. They're probably bumming. Admittedly, they're probably having homosexual
A
relations.
lot of drugs and
But
shagging.
it's a very bohemian atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, good luck to him.
Next week, L. Ron Hubbard will make his appearance.
Oh, God.
And things go from pretty damn sweet to fucking shite.
Fair play. Look forward to it.
Yep.
So we'll make it a two-parter. I've been Ben. Do as thou wilt. Every woman, man and woman is a star. Thank you for listening.
Sounds weird coming from you.
Love is the light, love and the law, guys.
Don't believe that.
I've been mine. Thanks for listening. Peace out by the pool.
Open guys, free bit tanning. This is the way.
That's the lyric.